now, honey. You gotta cut your fingernails. You gotta stop that kind of dreaming. One or the other.
Few horror villains attain the status of horror icon. For every one breakout boogeyman, you've got 10 more forgotten or forgettable copycat killers. Fewer still find a way to pierce their way out of the tight genre bubble to become cultural icons. That's where Freddy Krueger comes in. Freddy had it all. He was truly scary, but wielded a wicked and playful edge, making him as fun to root for as he was to hate.
Please, God.
This is God.
The combined mastery of Wes Craven and Robert Englund's crafts, and the indie grit of early New Line cinema, somehow shaped a child,
boom,
killer into a magnetically charismatic game show host from hell, one who audiences could not get enough of. To be honest, I had no specific plans to do this ranking, but with Michael and Jason both up on the board, it just felt wrong to leave Freddy out. Better stay up late with us as we rank all 9 Nightmare on Elm Street movies from worst to best. And remember, whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
When I was alive, I might have been a little naughty, but after they killed me, I became something much, much worse. The stuff nightmares are made of.
Bottoming out in 9th place is 2003's Freddy vs. Jason. To avoid entirely repeating myself, I'll just say to watch the Friday ranking video for my complete and uncut thoughts. In short, I really hate this ugly little head-on collision of a crossover movie. It's hideous, poorly handled, and only at all redeems itself in its final minutes as a pure, bloody WWE-ass slugfest. However, I did rewatch it again for this ranking because I believe there's some value in coming at it from a different angle. What I mean is, whether you're viewing the movie from more of a Friday the 13th perspective versus a Nightmare on Elm Street one changes what you might get out of it. Funny then that it wound up in dead last here as opposed to 3rd from the bottom in the Friday ranking, because I actually think that Freddy vs. Jason works better as a Nightmare movie.
I'll have to pass that message myself, won't I?
Freddy feels far more himself here than Jason ever does, and that alone counts for a lot. Even with all that's going on, the film never loses sight of what a bastard he is, even to Jason.
Now there's a face only a mother could love.
And our Nightmare Man wrangling the Crystal Lake slasher into the story for his own selfish ends is a clever setup that gets things moving nicely. Sure, what follows includes some questionable continuity R.E. Springwood, and pretty much every other sequel prior to this becomes suspect.
We can handle this. We've stopped him before.
Okay, I'm a little lost here. Stopped who before?
We don't say his name out loud.
But nothing found within shatters the Nightmare series' internal logic or breaks Freddy's character. Everything else that I hate about the movie, the hideous visuals, embarrassing performances, and overall awful direction, all still stand. But as Robert Englund's send-off to the Freddy Krueger character, it's no doubt that he had fun. And I suppose that it's fitting that Freddy got the last laugh. Where last time I shouted out each film's best kill, here I'll tip my musty brown fedora to each Nightmare's best, well, nightmare. Could be the scariest, funniest, or most creative, just whatever stands out as the best in my opinion. Freddy vs. Jason's best dream scene? Well, shout out to Freeberg's brief encounter with the Weston Hills kids, since it's one of the only genuinely creepy images in the film. But I'm gonna give the win to Laurie's brush with social anxiety.
I know you never made it with Will. Why would he want to? When he can fuck somebody like me.
Let's tie the bitch up.
This scene, on top of bringing some real tension in for a second, plays with our expectations of reality in a fun way. The series doesn't trick us into thinking we're awake as often as it should, and that's exactly what happens here.
You fell asleep!
Dr. Moore, do unborn babies dream?
As the fetus develops, it can spend up to 70% of its day in a dream state.
Number 8 is Nightmare on Elm Street 5, the Dream Child.
It's a boy!
Fun fact, per screenwriters John Skipp and Craig Spector, those 3 words there make up the singular surviving line of dialogue from their initial draft. Double fun fact, the studio had a poster with a release date made for Part 5 before a script was written, and that mandated rush job might explain a lot about why this movie is the way that it is.
Feeding time. Soul food for my boy.
Which is to say, ambitious, but a near total failure where it counts. To shout out the positives first though, the special effects throughout, from the kills to the nightmare sets and set pieces, are equal share impressive for the modest budget and dripping with creativity. Not every slasher, not even every Nightmare movie, can boast something as awesome as the Phantom Prowler v Super Freddy, Dawn of Shark Jumping.
Time to die, you scar-faced limp dick!
Dream Child might have been rushed out, but it was not phoned in. Unfortunately, my list of positives stops dead right there on the visuals of those scenes, because this movie has a real, serious logic problem around its dreams and dream sequences. Even taking into account, as much as you can, the central conceit of Freddy using Alice's unborn baby's dreams to kill her friends? I think I got that right. There is simply no internal logic as to when someone is or isn't asleep, or is or isn't dreaming. Characters fighting to stay awake is such a major conflict throughout the series, but here, Dan manages to fall asleep riding a motorcycle.
Hylas, wanna make babies?
Which brings us straight to Alice. If she had stayed a one-term final girl, bowing out after Part 4, The Dream Master, she'd have squeaked by without much fanfare, but clean enough to avoid too many major critiques. But I said if, because she does return. And not only does Lisa Wilcox give a worse performance this time,
God damn it, Yvonne, you don't just run away from this guy. He finds you in your dreams.
but Alice firmly cements herself as a woefully ineffective final girl, and, quite realistically, the worst one in the series. What time she doesn't spend being clueless and helpless is spent completely failing. Failing to reason out Freddy's admittedly weird scheme, failing to save her baby daddy, her friends, or even herself really, just all around ineptitude. The only exception across both of her movies, the only character that our supposed dream master winds up saving long term, is perhaps the most undeserving side character in the series, Yvonne, her awful, unsupportive best friend.
I think you just need to calm down, okay?
Grape job. Fairness check? There are loads of good final girls who ultimately fail to save their friends, but most of them are just victims of circumstance, whereas Alice confidently sets out to stop Freddy and save the day, and just beefs it at every turn. And her incompetence isn't played properly for the drama that it could be, and is left largely uninterrogated. I guess you can give Alice credit for technically being one of only 2 characters to defeat Freddy twice, but both times her triumphs were due almost entirely to outside intervention, here being her ghost son, giving Freddy the old fake out then umbilical soul puke. You know the one I'm talking about. Speaking of, you're not exactly putting your best foot forward here either, Krueger.
This boy feels the need for speed.
Though Freddy's sins in Dream Child are less to do with his inescapable one-liners and growing cartooniness, and more to do with, as I implied, his scheme here being fucking confusing. It's borderline hard to follow.
He's taking their souls, their spirits, and making the baby like him. Look, sweetie, you're tired.
From frame 1 of his reintroduction, also kind of makes no sense, his master plan shares the same endemic problems as the movie as a whole. Ambitious in the oven, but you dropped it trying to put it on the plate. Also, and this is far more superficial, this is officially the point in the series where, to spare poor Robert Englund some discomfort and time in the chair, they simplified his makeup, and I just don't think he looks as good. Without getting into a whole giant thing about it, this movie's plot, being what it is, forces the story to really muck about around the topic of abortion.
Well, I've thought about it, and I plan to keep him.
Complete with all of those pitfalls. I simply don't think that cishet bland man Stephen Hopkins was necessarily equipped to tackle any of this.
Who said what?
I like you. I want to stay with you. How come you don't like me?
Especially not in 1989. Genre films can be made to talk about any number of dead serious topics, to some great effect. Even other movies in this series, ones that we'll get to, don't worry, have a hand in serious subject matter, but pregnancy and abortion and the meaning of motherhood is not a good fit. Not a good message, not a good movie. For the rushed hand they were dealt, the ambition that the team still had was commendable, but ambition alone can't save a movie.
Let's go. I want to learn stuff from you. She's no fun anymore. Teach me.
Best Nightmare in Dream Child goes to the aforementioned comic book sequence. The black and white practical production design, that awesome optical effect when Mark gets slashed, too damn cool not to love. Rest in print, King.
There was a man at the preschool. His name was Fred Krueger.
Lucky number 7 is 2010's Nightmare on Elm Street remake. Another Platinum Dunes remake at that, and it shows. And everything from the relentlessly made-up leading ladies, to the sweaty, pissy visual design, to Steve Jablonsky serving as our composer. You couldn't get much more 2010 than this movie without adding in some Linkin Park. I've spent a lot of energy over the years defending this absolutely reviled remake from its many haters, but each and every time that I've watched it, my appreciation for it has, well, depreciated. And though I don't hate it, don't believe it to be half as horrible as its reputation, I don't think there's much here on offer.
See you around.
See ya.
Honestly, I think what folks who despise this movie are responding to so strongly is less about the film's pure quality and more how little it has to say on its own.
Don't fall asleep. If you die in your dreams, you die for real.
Out of all the remakes from this era, Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 might step off the original's path the least, and therefore has the flimsiest justification to exist. Instead of Heather Langenkamp, Johnny Depp, and John Saxon, Nightmare 2010 has Rooney Mara, Kyle Gallner, and Clancy Brown, which doesn't sound so bad when I say it out loud. The two leads here don't have much, if any, chemistry together.
You're okay, are you sure?
Yeah, I'm fine for now.
But independently, they're giving strong, desperate performances considering the rather flat material they're given. One major shout out I have for the movie, probably over any other entry in the series, is the sleep-deprived effects makeup on the actors. These kids look exhausted. Typically, we just see the actors yawn once or twice and then just have to use our imagination from there. But here, you can see the light leaving their eyes, see their skin get pallid and clammy as they slog through yet another sleepless night. Flowers for the makeup folks. But speaking of makeup,
Ted, you're it.
Yeah, he doesn't look good, which sucks so hard because I genuinely think that Jackie Earle Haley was an inspired casting choice. His Freddy is just as at home delivering a sickening gravelly chuckle after telling what he'd call a joke.
I was just patting him.
As he is screaming for his vengeance, and all the meat in between. He's got a great physical presence, always scraping walls or pipes, or flickering the blades of his gloves together. Everything, every damn thing about the performance except how it looks is exceptional and worthy enough to slip into Robert's hat and sweater. But it's really an unavoidable problem.
It's real.
Honestly, it's a lot like how I feel about the Child's Play remake. A good performance delivered confidently by a good actor that has its wings clipped by ugly visuals in the final product. The few shots that are too darkly lit to appreciate how bad he looks, or even better, the flashback sequences of Freddy as the groundskeeper really show off the potential. If they'd just gone with good makeup instead of bad CGI, or if they'd figured it out in a sequel or something, I'd put my stake in Jackie properly knocking it out of the park.
Why are you screaming? I haven't even cut you yet.
But that isn't what happened. All of the VFX shots here look pretty miserable, especially when you compare them to the tactile originality of the first film, which normally I'd say isn't fair to do. They're different films, judge them both on their own merits. But when Nightmare 2010 steals so much from the original without improving on anything, it's begging for the comparison, and almost never wins that fight. The only sequence that looks even on par in this version is when Chris gets swung around the bedroom and scratched. Good lighting, staging, and motion, and at least the appearance of being largely practical, help this set piece still hit. The rest of the film's big moments are pretty hit or miss. The vast majority of the dreams are in boiler rooms and factories, covered in ash and sparking with off-screen flames. They're visually consistent and shot and designed well, but there isn't more than a moment or two throughout that I could call at all creative. The kills too are pretty much the same, either cribbing beat for beat from what we've seen before, or just kinda being a slashing. I can't call the original's kills subtle, what with, you know, shit like this. But if you say compared how the accused boyfriend character in both movies goes out, the subtlety of a creeping bedsheet filmed in reverse, versus Freddy, I don't know, taking a fucking shotgun to the kid's chest, you can see the sort of thing we're dealing with. The most interesting kill in the film comes from a cameo that plays out like a short film. Here, Aaron Yu, my boy Chewie from Platinum Dunes Friday, leaves a blog for Nancy to find, detailing his deterioration as Freddy wears him down.
Is there anybody else out there that this is happening to? Can somebody help me? Please?
Like anything found footage, there's holes to poke in it from a logic perspective, but it's subtle and it's creepy, and it almost feels like a clip from the Nightmare on Elm Street remake we should have gotten. Okay, but there's one other thing I didn't bring up about this version of Freddy.
How do you know he was guilty?
Oh my God.
You killed an innocent man.
Now, a remake playing with Freddy as maybe being wrongly accused, as being an innocent life taken in a bout of mistaken vigilante justice, could be super interesting. A borderline genius inversion of the original concept. And this movie plays around there.
We were protecting.
From what?
From him. From what he did to you. From what you kids told us he
We were 5! We would have said anything!
Almost. But there's one problem with that.
He's not after us because we lied. He's after us because we told the truth.
Actually, more than one. Even before the reveal that, oops, all pedophilia, Freddy still acts like a total creep.
You look just as beautiful as ever.
And we, the audience, know who Freddy is going in. Statistically speaking, he's what got a lot of the asses into the theater. Yet this movie insists on spending a ton of its runtime on buttering out the mystery of who Freddy is. Then on muddying that with the question of his innocence. But they don't follow through, so it's all for nothing. And even when that near twist is at its peak in the story,
why did you go to the police?
You were so young.
No, God, and the things we said he did.
Why? Why does Quentin suddenly think Freddy is innocent? The depth of his Freddy knowledge extends to that his grade school class accused Freddy of bad touch, the parents burned him alive, and that Freddy is now dream killing the kids for revenge. Pushing aside, I guess, those very real murders that already kind of wipe out any innocence Freddy could claim to, wronged or not, why is Quentin now doubting his own childhood accusation? Is it just guilt? Is the movie now implying that the nightmare flashback he just saw was Freddy manipulating him into thinking he was innocent? Because if that was the case, why the hell is the last moment of that dream this? The entire thing is just too muddy to work at all, and since it doesn't amount to anything, it's pretty much a master class in wasting our time. All it winds up doing is offering up yet another what if to think about. All told, Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 is very much lesser than the sum of its parts. For all of the slick visuals and money poured into it, and talent doing their best, it's a bland, unpleasant, uncreative slog. The things that shine don't break all the way out of the gloom that surrounds this dated, modern misfire.
Did you know that after the heart stops beating, the brain keeps functioning for well over 7 minutes? We got 6 more minutes to play.
Best dream in Nightmare 2010 goes to this match cut style micro nap in the pharmacy. The idea of seeing Freddy even when you're technically awake because you're so tired is a fresh threat to throw at them. And that imagery of his silhouette bearing down the aisle, the aisle, is pretty terrifying.
Every town has an Elm Street.
One stop short of the top 5, we have Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare from 1991. The title may have been a marketing gimmick in response to diminishing box office returns, but that's still a big swing that this movie's taking. The Final Nightmare. So dramatic. Does it live up to that big climactic promise? Not really, but every now and then it hits a ball into that neighborhood.
The ones that gave me this job. Dreams. I am forever.
From the very start, the movie pulls a pair of big moves, taking place, quote, 10 years from now. Okay, I guess that means the future of 2001, and the bigger move, killing off every single person under 18 in Springwood, save one.
Nothing is gonna make me get off this bed. Damn it!
Crowning Freddy the victor in his years-long revenge kick against the townspeople, while also interestingly rendering him impotently trapped within the city limits. A time jump that wide would be a gamble in anything, but here it at least freshens things up at a point when another stock standard sequel for sure would have felt stale. I will say the move is something of a surprise, seeing as Dreamchild's ending wasn't some dead-end corner that needed a soft reboot to get out of, like sometimes happens. But hey, points for originality.
Oh, what beautiful, adorable children! Would you like to come and live with us?
Which isn't something I can say with my whole chest about the cast of characters. Freddy's secret daughter Maggie is something different.
You were such a little artist.
No, it can't be.
Not good, but a little different. And Yaphet Kotto's unnamed Doc offers a cool, mature screen presence not often seen in this genre. But it's a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. My main focus is on the little brats. Though I think Carlos, Spencer, and Tracy here are a stronger group of kids than most viewers seem to, certainly better than the last couple movies' victims. They're nothing new. All three are defined by a single, easily identifiable characteristic, which Freddy will exploit for nightmare fuel, seen it, and the trio live at a halfway house due to their troubled lives, seen it done better, and bigger. The cast of teens here is tiny. Those three I mentioned, and John Doe, Freddy's red herring not son who is killed Wile E. Coyote style the second the movie stops needing him. This leaves the body count too pitifully small, unless you want to count the countless backstory bodies Freddy scored, which I don't. Being as generous as I can, Freddy gets John, Carlos, Spencer, and in flashback, his wife and father. That is all. Since there are so few, Carlos and Spencer's death scenes especially are allowed to take their time, with each one being an over-the-top set piece.
Great graphics.
Both are silly, somewhat effective, and pretty memorable. Though the most noteworthy thing about the dreams in this movie, beyond a 90s housewife's idea of what weed does, is that both Carlos and Tracy's dream selves revert to much more childlike states.
Give Daddy some honey.
Carlos cries out to his mother while Freddy Q-tips him, and poor Tracy has to relive her father's abuse dressed like that. I'm not sure that these ideas of traumatic regression hit how they're meant to, but there's something there, and once again, it's different, and at least subconsciously brings things back to Freddy as a child killer. It's real easy to lose sight of that in all the 30 teen-year-olds he butchers over the years. Freddy here? Well, he's the Wicked Witch, he's a Looney Tune, he's working with retcon dream sperm demons.
We know what you want. I want it all! Of course you do.
Then open up.
And you shall be forever!
This is not him at his finest. Funniest, maybe, in a very non-serious way, but even Robert Englund thought that they pushed it too far this time around. When we get to see Robert playing pre-burning Freddy in Maggie's flashbacks, there's a much quieter, more disturbing menace to him.
Don't worry, baby. Mommy just had to take her medicine for snooping in Daddy's special work. But you won't tell, will you?
This scene is a glimpse into a much darker playground that the series mostly avoids. Makes me wish that Freddy's Nightmares was better, or that Robert got a whole prequel film to explore the flesh and blood Springwood slasher. Oh well, here's some 3D glasses. Yeah, this was one of the dying embers of that particular 3D era. I almost applaud the shamelessness of writing in an excuse for the characters on screen to put on classic popcorn bucket construction paper 3D glasses. Wild. To give the movie any credit I can, only a very small percentage of the runtime bothers with the 3D gimmick. It's no Friday 3D or, God forbid, Jaws 3D, only coming in near the end with the glasses. However, the big 3D money shot looks like this. Holy fucking Toledo. They're lucky I just mentioned Jaws 3D, because otherwise, I don't think I'd be able to picture something looking worse than that. Sadly, this big boom caps off a pretty weak climax, in which Maggie has the bright idea to do the same exact pull Freddy into reality ploy that Nancy does in the very first Nightmare. Some grand finale. From there, the pair beat the hell out of each other, with Maggie brandishing all manner of contraband confiscated from teens as weapons, including the game-winning pipe bomb.
What I found in Spencer's room.
A pipe bomb, huh?
It was a different time. Freddy's Dead had on its shoulders the terrible responsibility of needing to deliver a satisfying conclusion to a beloved series, and
Happy Father's Day.
I don't think there's many people who'd say that it did that. It's a weirdly clunky movie where too many scenes just stop dead in the edit before they were clearly meant to.
There's gonna be trouble.
Which takes a hatchet to the pacing, as does the weirdly plotted script, but thankfully, against all odds, it's never boring.
How about this, Doc?
Bizarre, laughable, unserious for sure, but it's not a bad time at the movies. On a production side note, in the director's chair here, we have Rachel Talalay, a longtime fixture at New Line who worked on every single previous Nightmare, starting as an assistant production manager on the first film before working her way up, up, and up. Even if the movie isn't good, there's something heartwarming about a woman who was there from the beginning carrying Freddy's body over the finish line.
Freddy's dead.
Best dream in Freddy's Dead, I say, goes to Carlos's hearing aids. Though it's still goofy, the sound design here actually gets a bit disturbing, and who doesn't like a good head explosion?
Nice hearing from you, Carlos.
Hey, lighten up. No one died.
Fifth place goes to 1988's Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. To me, the very definition of hit or miss. Where it hits, it's absolutely killer. Stylish and modern and one for the books. But where it misses, it's a total whiff. If it's lucky enough to even hit that high.
Alice! No!
Par for the course as far as director Renny Harlin's concerned. He's truly a very creative guy, but also a total dick. And for every Die Hard 2 he has under his belt, you've got 3 The Strangerses to slog through. Yuck. But this isn't all about the man. Well, not that man.
You shouldn't have buried me. I'm not dead.
Robert Englund, rightfully so, earns his first ever top billing spot as Freddy here, which tells you all you need to know about the movie's priorities.
Welcome to Wonderland, Alice.
This film is something like the fulcrum on which the series' focus pivots, from Elm Street kids trying to stop Freddy to Freddy mugging for the camera. Quite literally, as in disrespectfully brooming the final Dream Warriors, as Nancy put it in part 3,
For the last of the Elm Street children.
Freddy accomplishes his mission. He wins.
Jesus, Grandpa, what did you read me this thing for?
And after winning, he doesn't have much else important to do. Don't worry though, he still finds his own fun, which is thankfully still very fun to watch. Even if he more or less only speaks in shtick, quip, and slogan going forward.
If food don't kill you, the service will.
As for his victims, it's at least a decent sized body count here. Seeing 2 of the 3 surviving Dream Warriors properly return, however briefly, is nice, but no one else's characterization particularly shines. What does shine is how they go out, because wow. If you're into this series for crazy fun set pieces and wild sets, this is your nightmare. Just look at these environments. It's a feast for the eyes, a bloody pop art explosion of the oncoming 90s. There's a reason why Robert Englund called this the MTV Nightmare. I'd almost more call it Nick at Nightmare, but For as imaginative as the dreams are, a few too many of the actual kills within them just wind up as limp, bloodless stabbings. But there's just enough good ones mixed in to keep things interesting.
No!
It isn't really fair to judge Tuesday Night here, as stepping into Patricia Arquette's shoes as Kristen,
Kristen!
whichever, would have been hard for anyone, but I can judge her for the final choice that she makes. Despite having a better haircut than in Part 5, Alice suffers from most of the same failings that she did in Dream Child.
What's happening to me?
Here in Dream Master, she at least has a bit more of an arc, with her fears of winding up as a diner spinster,
Come on, honey. I don't want to be here forever.
her blooming relationship with Dan, and her brother, who she actually has pretty good chemistry with.
Yeah, you can.
No, I
yeah.
can't.
Yes, you can. Just get up there and just like that, big and strong. Do it.
Well, he lasts, at least. Otherwise, she fails to comprehend her situation, fails to save anyone but Dan, and has to rely on some nonsense magical nursery rhyme and friend totem dream lasers to save the day.
Evil will see itself.
Dream Master presents Alice with an even more powerful foe than Freddy, though.
Me too.
Bad dubbing and a god-awful body double. Another portent of things to come here is that Dream Master really starts on the path of truly nonsensical dream transitions. i.e., wait, when did this character fall asleep? Was it when they were driving? Dan has gotta work on that. Still, to seesaw back to some credit to give, it is always juicy when a character in this series has to stay awake for someone else's safety.
Bring me more.
Like Alice here thanks to Kristen's absorbed powers, or like Jesse from Part 2.
What the fuck you doing in my room?
We'll get there. While the Dream Master is an easy choice for the most creative and energized of the standard Nightmare sequels, it's also, in its own way, a bloody subbed toe of a follow-up to Dream Warriors, a perfect franchise entry. Unfortunately, Dream Master's lasting legacy is to proudly champion so many of the series' problems going forward.
Look at us. We're dropping off like flies here.
Best dream here goes to the Kafkaesque Roach Motel from Hell. I hate to go against Robert Englund, whose all-time favorite dream sequence is this film's time loop, but it is my ranking. The time loop is conceptually interesting, and another new way to integrate a, shall we say, dream trope that the series hadn't yet.
You know, I get the weirdest feeling we've done this before.
But for a loop to work, it should have a perfect, invisible A-B point where it loops. A link that pieces the beginning and the end together seamlessly. That's kind of the whole point. But this sequence is punctuated by a hard cut back to zero every time, and that doesn't really work for me. The Roach Motel, though, is both just fucking disgusting in a gnarly and really practical way that makes you wince, and it keeps you guessing in a fun way. Ask a first-time viewer where they think the scene's going, I bet you there's no way they'll guess where it ends.
But you can't check out.
Nobody likes a smartass, buddy boy.
Look.
At number 4 in the ranking, we've got A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. Nothing to see here, folks. No sir, nothing weird, different, or controversial about this sequel. To be real, for a first step up at bat for what was a new franchise, Freddy's Revenge is an admittedly odd duck, but it's also a good watch, so long as you don't take the not yet cemented lore too seriously. One thing I like immediately out the gate is that though this is a direct sequel insofar as it sequentially follows the first film, the choice to not follow Nancy and instead center our story around the house where it happened, 1428 Elm Street.
Some chick was locked in there by her mother and she went crazy. She watched her boyfriend get butchered across the street by some maniac.
The filmmakers are just patient enough to make this really work, not revealing the house's exterior in a proper wide shot until after we learn the twist. This creative decision breathes strong new life into Springwood, casting the curse of Freddy as something almost kid-generational and giving us a new, modern classic haunted house for all time. Plus, there was the practical bonus of it, allowing the creative team the freedom to tell whatever new kind of story they wanted without being tethered to the plot lines or talent that came before. Well, except the one, of course. Being fair, they did try to replace Robert Englund, but look where that got them. Yeah, fuck all that. Robert is Freddy, even with the quote-unquote male witch look here, which isn't his best. It's too removed, too gooey. Robert gives a confident sophomore performance here, in spite of, or maybe because of the strange possession storyline the film follows.
We got special work to do here, you and me.
Freddy in this movie straddles the line between fun, impish bastard and total monster, usually at poor Jesse's expense. Gotta love a good final boy being thrown into the mix, though Mark Patton's performance starts to tiptoe into just male scream queen territory. Either way, it works. He looks appropriately tortured in the role and has good energy and believable chemistry with, both of his potential love interests. Lisa's fine, but Grady is a real show stealer.
Wanna shut up? Fine, I'll shut up. No problem. Stick around, buddy.
The movie is richer for having him and poorer once he's gone. The rest of the relatively small cast is filled out with either walk-on extra types or fun character actors, the likes of Marshall Bell as the coach,
Hello, dirtball.
or Clu Gulager as Jesse's dad. And to that end, there's very few kills to speak of too, and even fewer good ones. I guess maybe they just feel lackluster thanks to being sandwiched between two movies that are absolutely chock full of iconic kills. Inconclusive. Either way, we'll get to both soon enough. The most interesting dynamic anywhere in the film is for sure Jesse and Freddy's, we'll call it a dance.
You've got the body. I've got the brain.
It's got something for everyone. Surface level, it's some gnarly body horror, solid acting, and a new spin on Freddy as a metaphysical slasher, once more threatening those around his victim rather than the victim himself. But if you're looking for subtext,
Listen, I'm gonna leave. I'm not into this.
oh boy, is it all over this movie. The longer I take it all in with a real analytical eye, the less I like what I think the movie might be saying, i.e. hetero love conquers all.
I love you, Lisa.
But I'm not taking it that seriously. If the queer horror community at large accepts Freddy's revenge, you won't catch me being like, actually. In terms of other subtext we've got going on, did you notice that it's hot?
Sure. It's 97 degrees in here.
Get it? Because Freddy was burned alive? And this is when I confess that despite that wise-ass comment I just made, my partner had to clear that one up for me while I was taking notes. Can't win them all. The heat motif offers up some cool visuals, makes everyone, especially Jesse, just real sweaty, and even makes the bird explode. Yeah, some of the effects in this one are pretty rough. The production bordered on threadbare at times, and they did all right for the resources, but the cracks really show, even in what you don't see. Notice that, aside from the opening nightmare, there really aren't that many. Dreams in this film serve more as lore and exposition than as elaborate slasher set pieces. With minimal disrespect, going from Wes Craven to Jack Shoulder was always going to lead to at least a step or two down in quality. But Freddy's Revenge still holds up better than its reputation might suggest. It's well paced, never drags, and has enough good to keep you in it, and enough lacking to laugh at.
Nice ass.
In short, a solid first sequel.
It's all over.
Best dream in Freddy's Revenge, well, spoiled for choice. I gotta give it to Jesse's sleepover with Grady.
And you want to sleep with me?
It might mean saying goodbye to the best character in the movie, but in exchange for these awesome, insane body horror effects, I'll take it.
Oh, what's that?
Intense, huh?
The bronze medal, that's third place, goes to the original, A Nightmare on Elm Street, from 1984. Branded a
new masterpiece in fantasy terror
by the film's trailer, so much of this first film made its mark on pop culture like a hot brand on Hyde. Damn near every scene has something in it that would become iconic.
Tina?
Freddy's glove, hat, sweater, and face all fit the bill separately, and the man himself as a complete package gets a whole other point. Then there's the boyfriend phone, the shadow above the bed, the claw in the bathtub, and Daddy Longarms here. And that's before we talk about literally all of the kills. The fact that Wes Craven and the team were able to make such a creative splash into an oversaturated market for a respectably low budget, barely $1 million, is worth celebrating. Though the film's creative ambition and that meager dollar figure do butt up against one another more than some of its contemporaries. What I mean by that is, though Nightmare was made for a bit more than Halloween or Friday the 13th, because of its grander, bolder ideas, it looks its budget more than either of those two. Halloween looks like $1 million thanks to the lighting and the Panaglide alone, and Friday might not look like much, but the rustic setting and minimal storyline effectively hide the budget. Nightmare, however, had to juggle effects, makeup, elaborate sets, pyrotechnics, blood fountains, and a rotating room set, all for the same rough price tag. I'm not saying that they didn't pull it off, they obviously did, but the film does look to be stretched a bit thinner than some of the other classics. Speaking of classic,
Come to Freddy.
Robert Englund pretty much had it from the start. There's still a couple moments where he/Wes are still figuring out the voice.
This is God.
I'm gonna split you in two.
And he's a little less fun than Freddy gets in his prime, but if you're looking for a darker Nightmare Man, the original has you covered. Not to say it's all grim and gritty, just that their main focus was on making Freddy someone to fear. As for the first victims who he terrorizes, at least here on screen, these four are a good bunch. Tina is a fine red herring, Rod is a sympathetic, if greasy scapegoat,
Hey, up yours with a twirling lawnmower.
and Glenn is honestly a sweet and really patient boyfriend, even if he does fail his one and only job.
Goodbye, Bart. Goodbye, Lise. Hope you get reincarnated as someone who can stay awake for 15 minutes.
But for giving us that sleepaway camp cute boy crop top, I can find it in my heart to forgive him. But those three don't have a thing on Nancy Thompson. Played with strength and world-class sass by Heather Langenkamp.
I'm into survival.
Nancy's arc from girl least likely to self-sufficient survivalist dream warrior, not yet, is satisfying to see, but there's a little more to her, too. The subtle touch of having Nancy's parents going through their own troubles,
Marge.
alcoholism and separation namely, puts another layer of stress onto Nancy, and isolates her all the more from any kind of help when things get dangerous. The fact that the Thompsons' issues are likely, at least in part, caused by the stress and strain that murdering Freddy put on them is just the icing on the cake. Nancy in this film actually goes beyond the expected fearful to fighty progression, pushing all the way into flat-out hating Freddy and going after him. I'm not saying that her mercilessly whooping his ass with home defense traps makes Freddy less scary, but I will say that by the time he's literally begging for the beating to stop, she's at least leveled the playing field. The film's ending is famously confusing, and everyone from Robert Englund to producer Bob Shea have taken swings at explaining it. No matter what it is or means, Wes Craven didn't even like it. But none of that matters, because audiences sure did. And the movie was a shot in the arm for the genre. And to think, it all came from a creepy, true story. No, it did. Look it up. Best dream from the original has to go to the subtle, perfect, haunting image of Freddy over Nancy's bed. It may just be a sheet of cloth with a lighting gag, and maybe it only half counts because she isn't explicitly asleep. Does not matter. It's the stuff of nightmares.
When that time comes, you're gonna have to make a choice.
Choice? What kind of choice?
Whether or not you're willing to play Nancy one last time.
Number 2 is Wes Craven's New Nightmare from 1994. Movie just turned 31 years old. Same. Back in the halcyon days of early cringe YouTube, I uploaded a video of my top 10 horror films. Nobody saw it, nobody cared. Why would they? But proudly among my favorites sat Wes Craven's New Nightmare. At the time, I had only seen the movie once, and to say it left an impression would be putting it mildly, but I was also left with this feeling of imposter syndrome. Like I hadn't earned the right to like it that much. I'm a big rewatcher, you see. If I love something, I watch, and rewatch it over and over and over, but I never felt drawn back to reviewing New Nightmare like that. For this ranking, my watch was maybe only my 3rd time ever taking it in, and wow, this movie is transcendent, rich and mature, and truly a marvel for a studio genre film.
And you're definitely not crazy.
My worst fear.
To explain real quick for those not in the know, New Nightmare steps outside of the classic Freddy continuity into the quote-unquote real world of 90s Hollywood, California. The story becomes not about a burned child killer exacting ironic, brutal revenge, but instead of a more ancient entity, one whom is penned in by fiction, and until the series' end, took up residence as Freddy Krueger. But I'll let the mastermind himself explain it a bit more.
You're saying Freddy is this ancient thing?
Right. Current version. And for 10 years, he's been held captive pretty much as Freddy in the Nightmare on Elm Street series. But now that the films have ended, the genie's out of the bottle.
It's very high concept and dizzyingly meta. And this was in the 90s, before any of that shtick was in vogue. It really goes a long way to show just how brilliant and ahead of the times Wes was, given how future-proof so much of the commentary being made here is.
I thought you killed Freddy off.
Well, we did, but the fans, God bless them, they're clamoring for more. I guess evil never dies, right?
The way that he elevates the material, weaving in broader, folkloric, more universal motifs, never comes off like he's ashamed to be making a horror film, just that he's proud to be making this one.
Thanks for having the guts to play Nancy one last time. At last, Freddy's back where he belongs. Regards, Wes.
Our final girl here is Heather Langenkamp as, well, herself, Heather Langenkamp.
Gotta go, Robert.
Just a second, I'll watch it.
Who would have thought that Heather, the actress, playing herself, would wind up as one of the most thematically layered and sympathetic slasher heroines of all time?
I forgot to bring his dinosaur Rex. He keeps Freddy from coming up out of his...
It's a powerhouse performance, and she almost literally carries the movie. Not to say that she has to.
That's enough.
The witch howled like a scalded cat, but Grandma ran and left her there to perish nonetheless. She ran to her brother as fast as she could and flung open the door. Hansel, Hansel, she cried, we are saved. The witch is dead.
Her son, played here almost eerily well by Miko Hughes of Pet Sematary fame, earns his place as pretty much the co-lead. For being a 90s child star, something not exactly known for bringing the acting heat, Miko delivers everything pitch perfectly.
It's different when you're gone.
When he's gotta be sweet, he's a little button.
Finish, please.
When he's creepy, he's really creepy. And fuck, this kid has good physicality. I feel so bad for the little guy that I get emotional about his stuffed animal.
Rex keeps him down there. He's my guard.
Rex the Deadly Dinosaur is a real one, and we thank him for his service and his sacrifice. The fact that this film trades in the expected troop of semi-disposable teenage victims for a middle-aged woman and her son is, at the same time, a brilliant creative move and one explanation for why it didn't do so well in theaters. Sad face. The soul of the movie is mother and son, and those two couldn't have been asked to do better. It might sound odd to shout out actors, or even non-actors, playing themselves, but something about the meta material or Wes's direction, or both, just brings out the best from everyone.
Anyhow, he's right in the middle of the script.
Which means he's having nightmares again.
Well, he's very excited about it.
Wes's hushed line delivery as the maestro is chilling and understated, and John Saxon slowly working in Lieutenant Thompson's accent as the fiction slowly takes hold of him is truly brilliant stuff.
Nancy, pull yourself together before you make yourself and that kid nuts.
The rest of the cast includes a fictionalized version of Heather's effects artist husband, her nanny, played by a pre-shit I know her from Tracy Middendorf, and Bob Shea and Robert Englund as themselves, among other things.
Miss me.
Robert gets to play dual roles here, which is fun, albeit brief. And he's good as himself too.
Darker. More evil.
Yeah. How did you know?
Call it a guess.
I love how much his final on-screen moment here implies. Not only that he too has been haunted off-screen by the demon, but that it can, as Wes said, exist or be made flesh through other art forms, not just film and fiction. Great stuff. Freddy's redesign is strong too, and though he's not 100% devoid of the joking persona,
Pick a pet. What a rugrat bitch.
this might be the least playful, most destructive Freddy to date.
Nancy.
He is a hungry monster who wants to eat you up. This tone shift goes double for the dreams too, which as much, maybe more so than any other entry in the series, are finely thematically focused.
Stay with me.
Writing in the real-life earthquakes plaguing LA at the time of shooting was a nice touch and economically smart. Lucky too, because if the film has a failing, it's some of the effects. For all of his time in the genre, Wes never seems ultimately too at home shooting and cutting effect scenes. Some come out fine, some look cheap or choppy. It doesn't hurt the film as a whole, but where this film's visual design shines best is the subtler stuff. Just how many different ways can we work Freddy's claws into scenes he's not even in? Little touches like those make it hard not to feel him lurking, watching. For such a dense film, one that handles parental/spousal death, life imitating art, fame and memes, not the funny kind, probably the heaviest theme that this film handles is the one most central to Heather and Dylan.
What are you asking? Please, don't take it wrong. If there was, there's a good chance Dylan could be suffering from something passed down to him. Have you been suffering from any delusional events, Miss Langenkamp?
The fear that, as a parent, something you did or didn't do, or worse, some broken part of you might get negatively passed down to your child and they'll have to suffer for it. It's powerful, challenging material, the sort you rarely see in a commercial film. Now, I'm not trying to oversell it as some postmodern think piece about violence. It's still a 90s era New Line cinema slasher. There are moments of levity, you've still got a body count between the reels, and of course, a triumphant climax where our heroine accepts her role as Nancy, one last time. So if you're in the mood or the market for a much more penetrating kind of horror film, one that gives you something to chew on, and in so doing, splits A Nightmare on Elm Street wide open, this is the one for you. Best New Nightmare Dream, I'll give to the opening scene. What begins as a fun riff on the beginning of the very original, widens to a meta introduction to our new real world and characters, and shows off some guilt-free blood and guts. Not to mention the coolest effect in the film with that living claw.
I don't know what's going on. Cut the effect!
Somebody else is out here.
No. We're alone.
And in number 1, we have 1987's A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. Quite possibly the most glam rock, ratty cool slasher sequel ever made. Unless... No, it's Dream Warriors. What works so well here is, well, damn it, it's everything. Confining our cast of kids to a more hostile location, here being Weston Hills Asylum, is a strong starting point. That gives them more than just Freddy to contend with, adding in an environment that purports to be trying to help them, but that really just wants them to keep quiet, like good little girls and boys.
You just bought yourself a night in the quiet room, mister. Now sit down. Fuck you! You sit down!
Easy, Kincaid.
Nobody gonna put me to sleep!
We get to visually handshake all of our will-be Dream Warriors in one smooth, subjective oneer very early on in the film. Thanks to the efficient scripting, we learn enough about each of them almost right away to be able to tell them apart and understand what they're in for. Wagner and Darabont, the writers, don't stop at giving us fun kids to root for either. They put in the effort to layer more meaning into the kids' struggles, and each of those struggles reflect real-world issues plaguing teens. Philip sleepwalks, Will struggles with a disability, Joey, in addition to being rendered mute by his trauma, is clearly feeling his hormones, Taryn's a recovering addict, Kincaid has anger issues, Jennifer struggles with self-image and self-harm, and what could this be symbolizing? Patricia Arquette there, playing our young lead Kristen, appropriately stands out as maybe the best performance in the movie. Which is even more impressive given that this is her first screen credit. But sincerely, all of these kids are exactly what you'd want. They're winsome and charming, they're flawed and obnoxious. They're kids. It's perfect.
Great, now it's my dick that's killing me.
So perfect that when things get bad, you really do wish there was someone there to actually help them. And luckily,
9, 10, never sleep again.
yes, Heather is back as Nancy Thompson, now a borderline prodigy grad school student using her, let's say, unique knowledge of sleep disorders to her advantage.
What if I told you that, your patients are in real physical danger from their dreams?
Nancy is a steadying presence throughout the film, playing around with requel returning final girl tropes, the likes of which wouldn't be mainstream for decades. The rest of the Weston Hill staff is filled out by very talented character actors, including a pre-fame Lawrence
Nothing but
Fishburne.
sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Shit, that's what keeps people alive.
Their screen time might be relatively minimal, but casting performers this solid makes it work in double time, which helps leave all the screen time you need for the bigger personalities.
Oh my God.
If you're looking for the one nightmare that best showcases who Freddy Krueger is for a new viewer, it has to be Dream Warriors. The way that he manipulates the kids' unique anxieties into truly creative dream sequences, more often than not being capped off by a legendary kill, is a telling exhibition of what makes the Springwood slasher an enduring icon.
Who in the fuck what you think?
Englund just devours the role, looking phenomenal and sounding, well,
Always room for more. The souls of the children.
yeah, they still haven't solved that voice thing yet. I can't tell if it's a flub or a weird creative decision. Regardless, he shines, and has new light shown on him across the runtime. Before credits roll, we come to learn so much about Freddy's backstory without ever so much as to demystify him, and each new crumb we follow opens the door to more disturbing implications.
Her child, Freddy, the bastard son of 100 maniacs.
That mysterious woman of the cloth there is Mary Helena. If you were curious, Mary for Mary, the mother of Jesus, and Helena for Flavia Julia Helena, the mother of Emperor Constantine of Rome. So yeah, she's Freddy's mother, Amanda Krueger. Throughout Dream Warriors, the good sister acts as something of a spirit guide for Dr. Gordon as he searches for answers, culminating in a battle with Freddy's stop-motion bones in a junkyard. You see, Nancy's father is the only man alive who knows where they were buried, so we even get to rope John Saxon back in.
It's really you.
Well, at least for a little while. The idea of tying things back to the original and Freddy's burning and burial is great, satisfying sequel storytelling.
You're about to attend a funeral, one that's long overdue.
And even just the sheer concept of Freddy possessing his own skeleton to fight off consecration is so goddamn metal. The only thing more metal might be the title, Dream Warriors. Evolving the dreamscape from a realm where you're stalked and tormented and murdered all alone into something more open-ended and imaginative was a perfect progression. There's a powerful bit of reclamation at play too, with the kids finding their strength in exaggerated dream personas.
In my dreams, I am the wizard master.
Bonkers that they never meaningfully come back to this idea ever. And as for the Dream Warriors theme song, that's a different story. Don't get me wrong, it's a fucking banger and an awesome way to close us out. For sure the best rock musical slasher accompaniment, but it does sort of give the impression that the kids are unstoppable, lucid dreaming superheroes. Obviously not the case.
Sorry, kids. I don't believe in fairy tales.
It's still Freddy's world, they're just not as helpless as he might like. One quick side note on the topic of tie-in music though. In the past I took a deserved shot at Alice Cooper's Man Behind the Mask from Friday the 13th Part 6, and I went off on Busta Rhymes for just being in Halloween Resurrection. So it's only fair that I be an equal opportunity whiner. Why are there so many Freddy rap songs?
It's time for Freddy.
I watched through to the end of the credits for each movie on this list, and imagine my horror when more than once I was treated to a tie-in nightmare rap, double meaning intended. Lord help me. Anyway, sorry. From start to finish, Dream Warriors is pure uncut entertainment.
Let's get high.
A masterful marriage of genuine horror thrills, exaggerated but lovable characters, and an impressive expansion upon the existing franchise lore. And where so many similar films might softball the nastier hits to keep things light, Dream Warriors keeps its teeth. Never afraid to go horrifically dark or to kill off the fan favorite character. But the thing is, the balance still keeps you smiling the whole time. In so many ways, Dream Warriors is what any franchise sequel dreams it could be.
Let's go kick the motherfucker's ass all over Dreamland. Yeah!
The best dream here would go to Jennifer's big break in TV, because frankly, it's legendary. But I'm trying to focus on the dream aspect more than just the kill. Bearing that out, my favorite dream here is group.
We're here.
We're here. We're in the dream.
Well, no, we're not. We're still here in the group.
Maybe the best example in the series of tricking the characters and audience into thinking they're awake, which I love. And the ensuing roundtable of the kids all showing off their dream selves and discovering their dream powers is great setup and infinitely charming.
A perfect score. The crowd goes wild.
At a time when it seemed like everyone wanted a slice of the slasher pie, and that even the laziest producer could get one with little more than a camera, something bladed, and any kind of mask, Wes Craven and the team at New Line chose to aim a little higher. They lit a fire under the asses of every horror creator out there and demanded just a little more from the viewer. Thanks to them, all the 80s kids out there had to think twice before shutting their eyes at night. And throughout the 40-odd years since, Freddy has remained a towering titan of terror, or, to put it another way, the man of our dreams.